Okay, we are good. All right, so welcome everybody. This class is Introduction to Criminal Justice. This is part of your CTE credit that you need for graduation. So you need 1 credit of CTE. So if you stick with me here, we have this class, Introduction to Criminal Justice, and then we also have Introduction to Corrections that you can take next block, and that will give you your 1 CTE credit and have you be CTE pathways. So let me just let you know this class is being recorded for learning purposes. Real quick, my expectations: make sure we're following along with the Nearpod lesson. Use the chat tools respectfully and appropriately. Some of the conversations we have, at least in this topic, can be kind of contentious, maybe a little bit, when we're talking about laws and also things that are just criminal in nature. Wait, why am I in 2 CTE classes if I only need 1 credit? Or is it because I'm accelerated? That would be something you need to talk to your counselor about. It's good to have more. You can use this as a CTE or an elective credit too. Okay. So either one, right? But you do need the 1 point there. So yeah, you want to maybe reach out, but if this is something you want to take just as elective, that works too, right? It's not saying you just have to take it just for CTE. A good question there. All right, the next one, make sure you respond to questions and instructions the first time. That helps us kind of get through everything. Okay, here is each class is 0.5 credit. Yep. So this would be a 0.5 credit class. And then if you take the next one, it'll be 0.5. CTE stands for Career Technical Education. Sorry. So we're more in so career technical education. So you're basically talking about like things that you can do outside of, it's not like just math, right? But it's like job related stuff, right? So I teach 2 CTE classes. Like I teach one that is oh yeah, sorry, that was my email for some reason. It's dinging saying I got an email. I apologize. But so I teach 2 CTE classes. One is the law enforcement pathway, which is this class, and then the other one is education as a profession. So people that want to be teachers. Okay, so I teach both of those because I got a little bit experience in each. So all right, so real quick, this is my family. My wife Christy. I have 3 kids: Brooklyn, Case, and Kaylor, and yeah, they're anywhere from 10 to 5. So that is them. Yeah, if you have me in both classes, I apologize. I guess I don't think it'll be too bad. All right, so let's talk about the objective here. So given a quiz in the OLS, students will accurately answer multiple choice questions about the role of and history of law enforcement throughout time with 80% accuracy across 1 trial. Okay, so what we have at the very end of this class is we have a quiz that you'll take. So let me jump right now into the course so you can take a look at it. Hopefully you've already seen it. Right here is where I'll just post the class announcements. I will also have a recording that I will post. So this class right here, for those that can't make it or you need to go back and check something. So I'll post those right here. If you go into plan, which is right here, that will take you to the calendar. And on the calendar, it kind of shows things that are going on. So we'll have live class every Thursday at 2:15. What I do here is going to be assigned to you, and you'll get it done by Wednesday, right? And then we'll have the class there. So we'll just kind of follow that. No school on the 20th of February. And the end of the block ends, I think it's actually the 17th. I think I got to move that over there. But anyways, you see here, I got about a week or so, a little over a week added up so you can do that. Somebody said, yeah, it's weird. Good things. I like criminal justice. Okay, good. Good. Okay, so that's how that works there. If we go into the units, I'm broke down like this one is Introduction to Criminal Justice. Then we're going to talk about crime. We're going to talk about criminal law. Then we're going to talk about police components, then the judicial system, and then corrections. And then that will lead us into our next class for next block. So those will be the 6 units that we will be reviewing here. And then this week, as you can see here, you'll have the Unit 1 quiz. And at the very end of class, I'm going to go over these. I think there's 6 questions. I don't know why I haven't broken up into two pages, but we'll go over those questions real quick so you can see them. Okay. All right. So let's get going. Yes, I'm the only teacher that teaches at Utah Virtual criminal justice. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's talk about police activity. There are a whole bunch of different police kind of activity that there's like patrolling, as you see, like on the highways, freeways, traffic enforcement, the K9 unit, the SWAT unit, the gang unit, undercover, crime prevention, corrections, dispatch, school resource officers, detectives, forensic, and the list goes on, right? And they're glamorized, right? Some police officers, sometimes they're made fun of too, some other things, but you'll see shows like CSI and NYPD Blue, and I don't know what they always come out with new ones, right? About solving cases, detectives, and crime scenes. Yeah, I'm going to go through the quiz. Are you in a police station like your office? No, I'm not a police station right now. Law and Order, yep, you're right. Okay, Criminal Minds, yeah, that seems a big one. Bones, yeah, Bones is one where you kind of do there. A cop passed me the other day. Was driving, he was going at least 60. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and police have kind of been a little bit villainized right now because everything's recorded, right? And sometimes they go back and they look at things, and so there's been huge riots and talking about political devices, how we change things. But what we're going to do right now, we're going to watch a video real quickly about the history of I think this one's about the history of law enforcement. So we'll watch that and we'll go and talk about it after.
All right, we've been seeing images of police officers from all over the country for 9 days now responding to these demonstrations and these protests nationwide. But did you know there was a time when we as a country, America, did not have an organized police force anywhere in the entire country? So let's go beyond the headline this morning and take a look at the history of the police force in America. The law enforcement system we have today wasn't shaped until the mid-1950s. Back in colonial times, there were no police officers. Communities would simply hire someone to act as night watch. It wasn't very effective. Most of the time, the watchman would sleep through his shift or get drunk. The first time we saw an organized law enforcement system was just before the Civil War. Cities set up what they called a slave patrol, a group to prevent slave revolts and hunt down runaway slaves. After the war, these groups switched more to enforcing segregation. And as time went on, police forces focused mostly on protecting businesses in big cities from union organizers and crime rings. The problem? Police forces were controlled by local politicians. In 1929, President Hoover created the Wickersham Commission to look at how effective law enforcement was nationwide. The results of that commission led to the creation of independent police precincts that were separate from political parties and are more similar to what we have today. All right, over the last year, CBS News has surveyed more than 150 police departments across the country. At least 69% of departments that were surveyed said they do have racial bias training, including the Minneapolis Police Department. They said they've
Okay, so I thought that was just an interesting quick clip of just kind of sharing a little bit. We're talking about the day, the history of how things were created, and he said, formal police things were not created until the 1950s, right? Before they were kind of ran by different organizations, or they're militia kind of things almost. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you real quick, what interaction have you had with law enforcement before, whether good or bad? Yeah, let me get you the link to the Nearpod. Do you think? Oh, that's a good question, Allie. I'm not sure. So Allie asked a question in regards to like racial profiling. Mentioned became a thing when it was the slave patrol, or yeah, definitely. If it was back then, like the slave patrol enforcing like segregation or stuff like that, it was very racially biased. Okay. Um, and we still have, I mean, we'd have imperfect people, right, running it. So, yeah, so let's see here. Got to ride home to grab an extra key because it locked out of the car. Oh, that's nice of them. Mother-in-law works in law enforcement. Okay, so some people that have no experience. Pretty interesting life, so quite a bit. Okay, I've pulled over with a dad before, but the officer was really nice. My interactions are mostly like accidents, right? I got in an accident and the police officers were there, that kind of stuff. Old friend of mine, dad is a police officer, sweetest guy I've ever met. Perfect. I'm just calling about a car crash and stuff like that. I can think of, I can remember. Stalking injunction. Okay, interesting. Saw them in a restaurant as a kid and gave them a toy badge. Yeah, that's how my kids know them, like at parades and stuff and all that. And my grandma was the only female cop force. Okay. Got handcuffed at a parade once for a joke because my mom was in it. Good. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, my brother-in-law was a police officer, and we got pictures of him arresting me on my wedding day. So I hear you. Father was a police officer all my life. In fact, one of the points he did stuff for the FBI. Oh, very cool. Dad's a police officer. Got pulled over when my dog was giving birth. Very scary. Wow. Okay, been pulled over many. Yep, being pulled over, traffic violations. A lot of people have family as a cop, right? Some officers paid for Christmas one year. Oh, that's nice of them. I love that. Racially profiled. I'm sorry to hear that. Caught up with the. Okay. Yeah, we all have different. It looks like people are putting things in the chat too. Yeah, so we have a lot of different experiences, and some of them, because they're in extreme situations, are maybe possibly more negative, right? And so people sometimes don't have the best, uh, you know, idea of what a police officer is. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about some basic principles here that we got to do. So first one is justice. Okay. So what is right and fair? A standard of fairness where it is judged whether each person is rewarded what he or she is due. Who determines what is right or wrong? Okay. So that's kind of interesting when we talk about justice. It's by the way, this will be like one of your questions on the thing. Talking about, it'll just say like justice. Okay. What we're trying to do is like to summon someone to do the right. Okay. So you might want to think about summon someone to do the right. So who determines that, what's right and what's wrong? And that's a really hard part, okay? So which comes first, the laws or morality? So the hard thing about being a police officer, I guess, and enforcing things is what is morally right and what the law says, right? Um, so as we're thinking here, as people grow, they develop feelings that certain actions are right or wrong. These feelings are created by their parents, school, religion, country, friends, and others. These are ideas about duties and ethics we refer to as morality, although many refer to these as feelings of your conscience. Okay. So it's hard because we all have different ideas of what's right and wrong. Okay. Some things I think we know are inherently right and wrong, like killing somebody. I think you could probably say that's wrong, right? Um, but with people, with enough people with political power within a government, they agree to the action should be labeled right or wrong, and that everyone should be made to follow these decisions. And then a law is then created. Okay. So it really determines on like the majority of people that are kind of living, right? In that certain area. And that's what we have. Like we have the legislature right now that is up there making laws right now. They started, I think, 2 days ago. And so they're going to kind of tell us, well, this is right, this is wrong. And we may or may not agree with them, right? Okay. All right. So let me just, with all the laws we have, is it feasible to ensure all laws or to enforce all laws all the time? Okay. So let's see what you guys think. Okay. I think we got an overwhelming thing of no. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's hard. You can't really enforce things every single law. So why are they not enforced? Okay. Well, there's a lack of public consensus that the law should be enforced, right? There could be like widespread or violations. So if everybody's doing it, then you can't really, arrest everybody, right? Limited manpower, low priorities. So like, for example, jaywalking, right? You can't really enforce that, right? So here's some laws that are like widely not enforced, like polygamy, jaywalking, curfews, some traffic laws, speeding, improper lane changes, vehicle conditions, truancy. Yeah, I mean, if you guys skip school and truant, they're not going to really like always get you. Okay. So who gets to decide whether or not laws are enforced? Okay. So what do you guys think? Okay, let's see what people are putting here. Oh, we only got a couple correct, guys. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. The prosecutor doesn't. The judges, they're not really the police officers are the ones, okay? Oops, I should have not done that. Okay, the police officers are the ones that get to say if they're enforced or not, right? Because they're the ones out enforcing. Because they could say, "Oh, I don't want to watch a jaywalker," or "I don't want that." Okay. Okay. So let's go over the history of law enforcement real quick. We got a lot to go through, so we may run out of some time. Okay, so the history of law, we have what's called a Hammurabi's Code. Okay, this started in 2000 BC in Babylon, and it was basically the first written laws that were ever made. In the Greek era, they had polis, which means city or state, right? And they would have basically little militias that would go in there and kind of do that. The Assyrian Empire then started the first court system. Egyptian had marine or custom police. Persian Empire had police to protect the roads and postal systems. So you can see slowly like things were kind of developing. Okay. And the Roman Empire was their first non-military police force established, they were known as the Vigiles. They carried around weapons were wooden clubs and short swords. Where we started to get ours from is England. They started many traditions, the watch and the ward system, the law enforcement by citizens, and they developed their rights. The people had the rights from the Magna Carta, which was kind of like the precursor to the Constitution of the United States. Okay, the Magna Carta was signed to reduce the king's power. Law enforcement became community-based, and they started the watch and ward system. The patrol functioned within a community, and they had watch was the night, and the ward, which was the day. And they would just go around and make sure things were being followed and people's rights were not violated. But policing in America, as we can see now, as it kind of evolves, citizens distrust central authority. The elect law enforcement officials, they use the watch and ward system. In the 1658, they indicated a paid patrol. These watchmen wore the first American police uniforms, continued until the 1830s. In the 1700s, watchmen became civilians rather than military police. So policing in America, it was basically the New York appointed the first chief, and they had formal trainings and uniforms. A lot of this started because there were like mobs and riots that would go on a lot, and they had to somehow control these from going on. The first real kind of state agency that was ever created was the Texas Rangers. Federally in 1789, the U.S. Marshals, and then the Bureau of Investigation was created in 1870. Do you know of some European countries at least 3 years of training to be a police officer? Yeah. So yeah, it is probably only about 6 months. You're right. In the United States, they go through peace officer training. We'll be talking about this in this course, but yeah, I think it might be better to have them get the training. But then again, we need a lot of manpower, and a lot of people aren't willing to go through the training to get it, right? So it's kind of hard, right? I mean, but we do a lot of policing. We're in the United States. We'll talk about this. We incarcerate, right? So put into prison more people than any other country in the world, right? So, yep, it's hard. There's a lot to deal with. It's complicated. Let me just go here. We're gonna skip to. I want to do like all the amendments. Let's do this real quick, just for the sake of time. I'm going to go and just come in here, and we're going to jump into the quiz real quick. And I want to kind of go over these with you because people really have a hard time with the quiz. And so I wanted to just make sure we're all on the same page, okay? Okay, so we got 6 questions here, okay? The first one talks about justice, okay? So we already talked a little bit about justice and what it is, but we're almost kind of not forcing, but we're just saying this is what is right and what is wrong. Okay. So if you look it through here, you'll want to pick the correct one that says, basically this is right, this is wrong, kind of thing. Okay. All right. Number 2, we didn't really talk directly about this, but more like indirectly. And this is indictment. So indictment is basically you are saying somebody did something. Okay. And you would have to stand in front of a jury alleging that a person, did some type of offense. Okay. So you'll want to pick the one that has that. Okay. And this is usually, just so you're aware, a felony. Okay. So that will give you some things on that. Okay. Police. So we talked about police. And with this one, it's a part of a government, right, to keep the peace. And so you want to find which one on here talks about that's part of the government that wants to keep peace. Okay. And that will give you a hint on number 3. Okay. Number 4 talks about an information. Okay. So an information is it's the opposite, not opposite, but you got an indictment, right? Which is usually like a felony, but this is being accused of something, but it's of a specific crime. Okay. So you want to put there on there that finds it's about a specific crime. Okay. So that should help you on that one. Let's go to the next page. We got 5 and 6. Okay. Number 5 talks about common law. So common law is based, remember how we have in a certain area, we have a different way we think, right? We have different customs, the values of a specific area or country. Okay, so you want to look on there because different countries have different ways of thinking. You know what I mean? Like we'll talk about some laws. Like some places, it's okay to do certain types of killing, if you can believe that, right? So think about that. Okay. Next one is crime. Okay. This is our last one. So if we're thinking about crime, it's basically doing something that is against the law. Okay. So that was what you were going to want to put on number 6, doing something that is against the law. Okay. So that's going to help you out. I just gave you some pretty big hints on all of those. Okay. What do we need to stop, bud? All right. Sorry, I haven't seen the chat going through. Hopefully you guys are all being appropriate and stuff. So yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, but anyways, I'll go and check it in just a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip right here just to my contact information. Okay. Yeah, so there's the difference. You have an informant and indictment. Indictment is you're being accused of a felony, basically, right? Okay. So, all right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the recording right now, but I'm going to answer any questions or anything like that. Remember what you need to do this week. Okay. Sorry, there's a lot to go through. You have the quiz that we just went over. It's due on Wednesday. So make sure you do that Wednesday. We'll have another live class. The assignment's to do the quiz. So you got a week to do that. So it's not due today, it's due Wednesday, but that would be your assignment. Okay. So, and if you do have some questions, you always can go back on this recording, right, and see all that stuff that we went over about all of these. So everybody should hopefully get 100% with all those hints that I gave. Okay. But if not, you can always contact me. We can go over those things. So I'm going to stop the recording, go back, see if you have any other questions, stuff like that. It looks like there's a lot in the chat and I wasn't able to keep up with it because I was teaching. So I'll go back and look there and see where we're there. So thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And I'm going to stop the recording.